Hello people and welcome back for part 2 of Professor Layton vs Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, a blind playthrough of this game. We have a few hours ahead of us to make some more progress, so let's get going. Which reminds me, I had to check something real quick. Now, the sound of the game appears to not be too loud. Okay, that's good. Right. Where were we? The place where we found ourselves looked to be vastly different from London. Or so it says. The more closely I look at this place, the more I believe it resembles the illustrations we saw within that book. It would seem we are trapped within this most curious town for the time being. We must gather as much information as possible that should allow us to get a better grasp of the situation. Well, I believe I was done with this place. Found all the hint coins here, here, and here. Let's try this one now. This is it, he's about to appear. This is the moment I've been waiting for, ever since I began queuing this morning. Okay. What's he doing with his beard? I can hear their footsteps, he'll be here any moment now. And that means Inquisitor Barnham will be with him. Oh, I just can't wait to see Zacky Wacky up close. The mailer. Come on, we're waiting. Once it's over, I have to get back and finish my deliveries. Come on. We people have gathered in the street we all wait, waiting to see him to learn of our fate. Dearie me, look at them all clamoring for a peek. It's as if this has never happened before. It would be more fitting and proper to wait with calmness and solemnity to show our respect. I always have trouble mingling with the common masses. Now, out of the way, let the lady on her goat see. Snowy. Attention, you rabble, keep that line straight there.
It looks like it's beginning at last, Professor.
Yes, you appear to be right, my boy. The level of excitement is remarkable.
Hey, you! You with the tall hat! I can't see a thing!
I beg your pardon, madam. What might be the occasion?
You should not have said that.
I've never heard such nonsense. And to think that he is about to appear!
Sorry, but when you say he, who exactly do you mean?
You should not have said that either.
Surely you two can't be serious. Why, it's him, of course! The town's creator! The storyteller himself!
The storyteller?
Huh? The creator of Labyrinthia? This is amazing!
And that must be this town's creator.
Thank you, storyteller! Thank you for granting me this lovely baby girl! Look at my mother! She was in bed, but now she's as fit as a fiddle!
They are inside the book that he is writing.
People of Labyrinthia, behold your new story!
That's what I took for cat's ears before. These things. But she looks like Dark Claw or whatever her name was.
Wow, that was amazing, wasn't it, Professor?
Indeed, but something would appear to be amiss.
Eek, this story is too horrible! Without a doubt, this is terrible. This doesn't look good. Today I'll finish up my deliveries and go home early. Up until a moment ago, everyone was so excited. But now that the parade has passed, the mood here seems totally different. They all seem to be afraid of something. Yes, it's very strange. What, a prophecy? Ah, Professor, there's one of those sheets of paper over there. That must be one of the sheets that the knights were throwing to the crowd. The problem seems to be related to what is written on those sheets of paper. Hang on, I'll pick one of them up. This doesn't look like a typical letter or anything like that. It's hard to imagine what could be so terrible. Let's start by giving it a read-through. Okay, Professor. A story fragment. The fearsome witch moved deeper into the moonlit wood, casting a deathly shadow as she passed between the trees. And when the two young companions stepped into the darkness of the wood, they were drawn into her magic fire and their lives were consumed in its flames. Two companions. The storyteller. After finding themselves in Labyrinthia, the professor and Luke saw the parade of the town's creator, the storyteller, but on reading the story that was distributed to them, the townsfolk became afraid. The horrific story on the piece of paper described how two young companions would be burned to death by a witch. Click OK. What could that mean? A witch again? And what about where it says their lives were consumed in the flames? Luke, let us cast our minds back to what Espella said in London. I seem to recall her mentioning that those witches had followed her from Labyrinthia. So that would mean that the witches we saw in London really were from this town? The witch in this story, do you think she's the one from before? It's still too early to say, but at any rate, the seemingly prophetic story is rather disturbing. I only came here to see Inquisitor Barnum, and this story is what I get. Oh my, what bad luck this is. Oh no, things had been so peaceful and now the witch is to strike once again. What a fearful world we live in. What a horrible story, I can't stay here any longer. I'm heading straight back to the market stall where I can be with my lovely little goats. Well, it seems that what's written here is indeed the reason for all this unrest. It's definitely a little ominous, but it's only a story, isn't it? It's precisely because it's the story that we're all so afraid. Don't you even know that much? Without fail, whenever a witch appears, somebody dies. Even if what you say is true, there's no reason to be afraid. After all, it's just a story. It's hardly going to become a reality. I think this is the reality of the lives within that book. Or that's how they make it sound anyway. Excuse me, just need to do something real quick. Just gonna take a few seconds. Alright. Went to close the door to my living room so that the noise isn't quite as noticeable from the landing in front in the staircase. Stairwell is what I should say. After all, it's just a story. It's hardly going to become a reality. What are you saying? Yes, what do you mean by that? Eh? It's not so obvious to them. You're not implying that you don't believe in the story, are you? No! You'll get your comeuppance for this. Hey, you two, what's all the fuss about? Us? Nothing, we're not making a fuss. What is it? Is something the matter? Captain, it's these two, sir. They're creating a bit of a disturbance. Well, it's you two causing trouble again, are you? Ah, Captain, these two here are claiming that the story won't become a reality. How can they say such a thing? What's that? This simply can't be. You claim that you don't believe what the storyteller writes? Huh? Could it be that you two... No, it couldn't be. A moment ago, they were claiming to have seen a witch. Honestly, that's what they were saying. Look, there are two of them. They could be the two in the story. The pair that gets killed by the witch. Well, they could be. Even if they're not, they must have something to do with the witch. Professor! This atmosphere is somewhat unsettling. It appears my original instincts regarding you two were indeed well-founded. You're clearly suspicious. Men, surround them! Uh-oh. What have we done? Uh-oh. Easy, Luke. But Professor, this isn't good. Perhaps we should make a run for it. Agreed, but running off blindly in any old direction is unlikely to prove successful. We're too unfamiliar with the streets of this town. Oi, I wouldn't think of running if I were you. Just give up peacefully. Professor. Mr. Layton, Luke. Both of you, over here. That voice. Hang on, isn't that... The voice came from that back street over there. Come on, Luke, let's run. Okay, Professor. Oi, wait! Stop! Come back here! After them, men! They're getting away! Yes, sir, Captain! As I thought, it really was you, Espella. But why? Why are you... Shh, I'll explain later. Please, just wait here quietly. Right, okay. Where are they? Which way did they go? Captain, we seem to have lost them. What? They must still be here somewhere. Find them! Hard to hide with that tall hat of yours. It appears we've managed to elude them, but what now? We can't stay here. They're bound to find us sooner or later. Let's move elsewhere. If we keep to the back streets, we should be able to reach the square without being seen. Follow me. Okay, we're in your hands. Come on, this way, and keep quiet. That was rather too close for comfort. It seems you rescued us this time. It was nothing, I'm just glad you were both able to get away safely. But what are you both doing here in Labyrinthia? We'd like to ask you the same question. What about you, Espella? What happened after we separated in London? I remember you jumping aboard that cargo vessel. Did you have any trouble getting away? Well, Easy now, Luke. We mustn't bombard Espella with questions like that. I'm sorry, Espella. No, I'm the one who should apologize. I'm afraid it's just not very clear. You have no reason to apologize, Espella. But when you say it's not very clear, what do you mean precisely? Well, to be honest, I seem to be unable to clearly recall what happened. Is that so? After we put you aboard that ship, we should have followed after you. But at any rate, I'm relieved to see that you're alright now. Yes, I am, thanks to you both. It's good that we could meet again like this. I'm so happy to see you here. Too right, we're both very happy too, aren't we, Professor? We certainly are, Luke. Let me guess. You both came here to solve the puzzles of Labyrinthia, didn't you? Well, yes, something like that, right, Professor? Actually, the truth of the matter is, we don't really know why we're here. It seems as if... Well, it's almost as if we'd been sucked right into that book's story. Sucked into the story? If it's okay with you, Espella, I'd like to ask you some questions about Labyrinthia. We can't really settle down here for a chat, can we? Those knights might find us again. We'll need somewhere to lie low for a while. I know, if it's alright with you too. Yes? But now Mrs. Eclair, the local bread maker, is kindly putting me up in her shop. If you don't mind, you're welcome to come to my room. I'm afraid it's only an attic room, so it's a little small. Really? I mean, are you sure that's okay? If they were to find us there, wouldn't that mean trouble for everyone at the shop? Not at all, you shouldn't even think like that. After all, it was you two who rescued me in London, wasn't it? So if there's anything I can do, you must let me help in whatever way I can. Spella, thank you. Allow us to graciously accept your kind offer. Okay, let's make our way there while keeping an eye out for those knights. The bakery is on the eastern side of town. Well, I was there before, actually, you know? Labyrinthia Secrets. The town of Labyrinthia is a mysterious place of witches and witchcraft where everything written by the storyteller becomes reality. Labyrinthia is a world in which the people live in fear of witches and witchcraft and where knights are their only protection. A pile of discarded wooden crates. They are just crates, nothing to see. Oh dear, it's a scorpion behind a crate. Ah! Oh, it's just a piece of wood. It's a water fountain. The water looks very clear. It may be suitable for drinking. There must be a spring somewhere nearby. Many people come all the way here for water. Coin. Coin, that's 2. The door and windows on the ground floor are shut. Could this be for some safety reasons? If this was my house, I'd keep the windows open during the day to let fresh air in. Townspeople are afraid of witches, so they bolt the doors and keep the windows shut tight. That's 3. Okay. Maybe look for stuff to examine closer. Okay, move. No, not like that. Hold on. Okay, so that's 3 hint coins out of 3. Town square. Uh-huh. A single bell hangs in the belfry. Perhaps it is sounded on special occasions. That's one huge bell. Ah, the 2 kids from before. Hold on, I won't talk to them just yet. Look at that bench, Professor. Wouldn't it be nice to spend a whole day on it reading in the sunshine? Luke, we are carrying out an investigation. This is not the time to be lazing about on a bench. Yes, we should be on our way. Okay, I guess that's coin number 1. Number 2. Some knights are standing guard at the entrance. I guess we can't go in. It is plausible that the guards are there to make sure no one goes to ring the bell without permission. It is forbidden to enter the bell tower. Everyone in this town knows about it. Except people who are not from the town, I guess. Like our 3 heroes. There we go, they have a puzzle. These 2 are so cute holding hands like that all the time. I like that. That's enough already, won't you ever stop crying? Why are you crying? The witch is coming! Ah, so you both read the story too, right? Boo-hoo, I'm afraid of the witch, save me, sis! Ah, it's his sister, okay. You wimp, you're a boy, aren't you? It should be the other way around. You should be the one saving me! You're the one who wants to be a knight! Boo-hoo, I can't be the witch, I'm toast! Will you just stop crying? What about me, huh? How do you think I feel? I'll never be a knight, boo-hoo! Don't worry, you just have to be brave. You can still be a knight. And you can look after your sister too. Here, it's just like in this puzzle. Puzzle 12, Cloudy Crossing. Use the clouds and build a bridge across to get to the princess in the castle. Touch a cloud to move it up or down with your magic spell. Clouds that are raised become sturdy and perfect for crossing, while clouds that are lowered turn into gloomy gray clouds, unsuitable for crossing. Be careful, your magic is a bit off today. As a result, moving any cloud will move its neighboring clouds as well. Touch a cloud on the touch screen to raise or lower both it and its neighboring clouds. Okay. Raise all the clouds to build a bridge across to the castle.
Answer.
There was a bit of
As you'd expect,
random guesswork involved, but we made it in the end. You did it. The princess is most happy to see you. Wow, that's amazing. You really made it to the princess. At last, the crying stops. You must remember to be brave, even when you feel afraid. Sometimes even I feel scared if I'm alone. I believe that if you're with someone you care about, you can overcome any fear. Got it, thanks. From now on, I'll take care of Petal. I really don't mind one way or the other, but I do wish you'd stop your crying. Yep, haha. They don't have another puzzle, do they? Even if the witch comes, I'll protect my sis. Even though I'm stronger, really. I may have to re-explore all of the other areas to see if I can't find any new puzzles. Like this dude. No? Hello, sir. Did you gentlemen see the parade? We certainly did. The turnout was most impressive. It seemed almost everyone in the town was present. Well, it's always a good turnout. But more to the point, what do you make of the story? The very idea of a witch appearing makes me shudder. I'm thinking of closing up shop and heading home early today. So do you believe it will be safer to stay at home tonight? That's exactly what I believe, but that's not all. Just look at the weaponsmith over there. His weapons are selling like hotcakes. Why are weapons selling so well? Well, lad, I should have thought that would be obvious. It's because the knights are buying them. They're replenishing their stock of weapons on account of the witch. As a merchant, I'm rather envious. He'll surely make a fine profit this day. Meanwhile, I'm but a pawnbroker, getting almost no custom at all. That's too bad. You gentlemen should also consider going home before it gets dark. We thank you for the warning. Apart from swords and armor, he also repairs broken pots and tools. The middle of the road is paved with white cobblestones. These cobblestones surround the shopping district. This must be the main street. If you follow the white line, you won't get lost. The street surrounds the shopping district, so the cobblestones are different. Well, maybe no puzzles. Yeah, let's move. No puzzle? Hey, Professor, the minstrel is singing a song again. I believe you're right, Luke. Let's go and listen while taking care not to disturb him. The crowd, they thronged in the afternoon sun. The story was told and the creator was done. Oh, what a tale. The story is so fearful. Oh, what confusion. No one was cheerful. Oh, this bardly bard named Bardley must tell you without fail, as it is his duty, to relate to you his tale. In the darkness of night, when the sun has gone down, the shadow of the witch shall appear, and the unfortunate couple walking in the darkness shall come unerringly to the witch, and bathed in the witch's fire, their lives will be consumed by her flames. Oh, the story you hear today is terrible, I have to say. Okay. I was not made to come up with a melody on the spot like this, huh? I think we can agree. Oh yeah, there are coins in this screen that I have not seen yet. Those two characters were slipperier than I thought. It seems they have left this area, sir. Shall we head back, Captain? The men should return to the guard post. What? This is a disgrace, letting those two slip away from under our very noses like that. Let's take another look. Yes, sir. Can't approach? Sounds like we shouldn't be hanging around this area too long. Indeed, let's head for the east shopping area before they find us. I agree. If we lay low for a while at my place, perhaps the knights will give up and go home too. Ah, but I'm allowed to look, though. Okay. The person who was waiting up there is now gone. Townspeople were overjoyed to see the storyteller at first, but now... Okay, one more. The atmosphere of gaiety has dissipated. That story has fearsome power over the people here. Shopkeepers and customers all look so grim. Okay, that's 3 coins. Now if I try this person. Did you two see the latest story? When you say latest, I might assume that these parades are held on a regular basis. Stop trying to sound weird to these people. You mean you don't know that? People these days, no one knows a thing. Never mind, I'm a forgiving sort. I suppose I should fill the gaps in your knowledge. That's not very polite. The storyteller appears in the parade before the common people whenever he writes a new story. It would be no overstatement to say that I spend every waking day looking forward to the stories that he provides. So you look forward to stories in which witches burn people? What are you saying? That only happens to be the story this time. Usually the storyteller writes the most wonderful stories. That's why I thought he would give us a wonderful chapter today too. Instead I find myself caught up in the crowd. My glasses were broken and I was bitten by a dog. Don't feel down. Every cloud has a silver lining, so they say. Don't feel down! Stop breaking your glasses for one. Don't feel down, you say? Do I look like I am feeling down? Bah, no way am I feeling down. If my unhappiness is recorded in the storyteller's pages, then so be it. Oh, sorrow, a part of me is such sweet sorrow. It seems that not all stories are born equal. Why do I feel that a person's character might have something to do with it? Ah, it's you two. You were causing quite a bit of a commotion earlier. We weren't causing a commotion. The storyteller's story is always right, and I cannot abide anyone saying otherwise. Then you believe that a witch will appear and commit some foul crimes? Of course I do. The storyteller decides everything that happens in this town. Whether folk meet with good fortune or ill, all that comes to pass is already decided by the storyteller. Whoever the victims are, they're probably up to no good on a regular basis. I spend every day as an upstanding citizen, so even if a witch does appear, I have absolutely nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. It's no use pretending. I am afraid of the witch. It's over for me. Maybe you ought to go home as soon as you can. Yeah, maybe I should do that, actually. Ah, we're here. This is the bakery. I can smell the bread baking. There are some excellent bakers working here. Come on, I'll introduce you. puzzle? No. So did you both read the story? Yes, we did. It said a witch will appear and 2 young people will be burned, right? It's a terrible story. There will be a feeling of dread hanging over the town tonight. Aren't you afraid? You seem so relaxed. Well, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't afraid, but what's written is written and there's nothing we can do about it. The story can't be changed once it's been written, so no use moaning about it now. Don't you feel there's even a possibility that the story may not come true? It sounds a bit deluded to me, you know, you should be careful. The story was of 2 young people and I'm thinking that matches you 2 perfectly. Aren't you afraid? Afraid? Us? Nah, and anyway, we're a group of 3 at the moment. Hello, Peter. Have you come to buy bread again today? I think there's some freshly baked bread about to come out of the oven. Ah, yes, maybe I'll do that. Thanks, Isabella. Ah, Professor, it's the smell of freshly baked bread. Indeed, Luke, it's certainly whetting my appetite. But the staff here are really talented.
Welcome!
Oh, look who it is.
Our bakery uses only the finest ingredients. Upper crust goods for not much dough.
Talented and highly enthusiastic, it seems.
He's kneading the dough pretty hard, isn't he?
I would rather liken the motion to pounding myself.
Like pounding a desk.
Mr. Wright, these gentlemen aren't customers. They're my friends.
Oh, really?
Hey, Espella. Welcome home.
Hello, Maya. Where's Aunt Patty?
The boss? She's gone to the market. She should be back at any time now. Sorry about Nick here. He didn't realize you weren't customers.
Not at all. There's nothing wrong with such sincere dedication to one's job.
Mr. Wright, Maya, meet my friends, Mr. Layton and Luke.
A pleasure. My name is Herschel Layton.
And I'm Luke Triton. Nice to meet you.
I'm Maya Fay, and this is Nick, my assistant baker.
Phoenix Wright, pleased to meet you. How come I'm the assistant?
Mr. Phoenix Wright and Miss Maya Fay, somehow not quite the kind of names I'd expect to hear around here. Have you both been working here long? Yup, must be going on 5 years now, isn't that right, Isabella? Really? Ah, yes, I suppose it must be. Say, you know what? Seeing as you're both friends of Isabella, I think we can give you guys a little something on the house, of course. Wow, really? Sure, why not? I actually just took some freshly baked walnut bread out of the oven, so... Of course, so that's what that great smell is. I bet it's delicious. If you think the scent is good, you should try tasting it. You too, Mr. Layton. It's so good, it'll knock your hat off. He doesn't want this hat being knocked off. I'd be delighted to, that's most kind of you. Well, that's that then. Go ahead and help yourselves.
Take that!
Take that. Our bakery uses only the finest walnuts. You'll go nuts for our walnut bread. How many times do I gotta tell you, Nick? You're supposed to say, here's your order. Oh, yeah, that's right, I forgot. I don't know why, but I just get the urge to point and shout like that sometimes. Bad, Nick, bad. You can't keep shouting at the customers like that. The boss will be all over you like butter on toast. That baker, he's quite a character, isn't he, Professor? Yes, indeed, there's something curious about both of them. They both seem somehow out of place in this world. Most intriguing. My room is upstairs. We can get there from behind the counter. Feel free to take something to eat. No! What's wrong? She seems to be upset about something. Let's ask her if there's anything we can do to help. Right you are, Professor. One. Two. Three. Sorry if I came across as rude earlier. Please pay it no thought. It's just that sometimes I get carried away when I'm pounding the dough like that. Well, it was kind of surprising to hear a big thump like that, even if you were just kneading the dough. And when you said take that, my heart nearly stopped. When I bake great bread, I guess I just feel the need to present it to the customer like that. Present it. What's the matter, Miss Faye? It's these loaves of bread, and I've tried to arrange them all so nicely, too. It's all Nick's fault. It's pounding messed up everything. Me? But I was only kneading the dough. What am I going to do? I have to fix this before the boss gets back. That's most unfortunate. Perhaps we can lend you a helping hand. Really? Thanks a lot. You'd be doing me the biggest favor in the world. Maya, you could try to show a little restraint sometimes, you know? Not at all. Helping those in need is the duty of any true gentleman. Not only that, but if we all chip in and help, we'll soon have it sorted out. Totally, we should all help each other out in times of need, right? Objection. Use your loaf. The neatly placed loaves of bread on display at the front of the bakery were thrown into disarray in the process. It seems an extra loaf managed to find its way among the bunch. Take a look at the picture on the top screen and find the extra loaf of bread. Place it into the basket once you've found it. This particular kind of puzzle requires you to manipulate the objects on the screen. Touch the end of an object and slide the stylus in a circle to rotate it. Okay. No, that's not it. This one, perhaps? No. No. This one. Like this. Let's see which one this could be. Yeah, like that, sort of. Then... this one? At the top? I'm not so sure. That's because I think I misplaced two. Yeah, these two. And this one... is that correct? Ah! No, I didn't mean to put it in the basket. Yeah, I think this could be it. Then of these four... And there's one I'm missing at the moment. Yeah, this one I think. This one could be it here. This one goes there in the middle, I believe. This one, I think, is the extra one. Yeah, that's the one. I feel
is my answer.
pretty sure.
Professor, I did it!
You found it. Now that's using your loaf. Perfect. That's exactly how they were before. Thank you so much. Excuse me. Yeah, thanks. You really saved my bacon. It's no more than any young English gentleman would do. You said English? What's that? And where have I heard it before? Hey, Maya, the boss is back. Hello, everyone. Just as I was wondering what the commotion was all about, I see you're back, Espella. Welcome home, Aunt Patty. Were Maya and Phoenix doing a proper job of minding the shop while I was gone? Of course we did. Naturally, you know you can count on us. They may be calling her a boss, but she seems like such a warm and friendly person. She certainly does, Luke, and she has a heart-warming smile, too. Oh, such flattery. You're just trying to make me blush. By the way, Espella, are these two gentlemen customers of ours? These two are friends of mine. They kindly helped me out once in the past. I was so happy to see them again that I invited them here. Pleased to meet you, madam. My name is Herschel Layton, and I'm Luke Triton, the professor's apprentice. Is that so? It seems Espella is indebted to you both, so it's certainly a pleasure to meet you both. As a thank you from me for helping Espella, please feel free to stay as long as you like. We just happen to have an empty room that you're welcome to use if you wish. Thank you for your kind offer, madam. Ah, yes, I imagine you must both be feeling hungry. Well, actually, I'm more than a little peckish. You don't say. Well, in that case, let me offer you something special. My very own creation. Wonderful. And that face baked on the surface, a masterpiece. Yes, I'm proud of it. I use a secret technique to make it extra fluffy. Who told you about fluffy? Only the best for our special guests. This is great. Still, we don't really have a whole lot else to offer, only bread. Only bread? I mean... Hey, Espella, shouldn't you show our guests to their room? Let's just forget the bread. Forget the bread? Uh-oh. I mean... Uh-oh. Mr. Layton, Luke, let's go upstairs now! What's going on? She's gonna explode. Just trust me, come on. Only bread? Forget the bread. You two really expect to become fully fledged bakers someday? Any more of this half-baked attitude, etc., etc., etc. I can't read, it's too fast. I, didn't expect that. I'm sorry, she's usually so kind and gentle. But when it comes to bread, I suppose it shows how dedicated she is to her crafts. I guess it must be fun to live in such a lively place, though. Yes, it is. It's thanks to them that I enjoy living here as much as I do. Mrs. Eclair is always so cheerful and kind to me. And Maya and Mr. Wright are so energetic, Maya especially. It's certainly an interesting group, particularly those two. But Espella, what about your family? It's a bit complicated. Sorry, I didn't mean to pry. Ah, Eve. What's the matter, Eve? Are you hungry? Sorry, it's my cat. It must be supper time. I see. Please go ahead. Don't mind us. 2. Jars with jam, perhaps. They all have vibrant colors. They look scrumptious. I am sure this jam would be even more delicious on Mrs. Eclair's freshly baked bread. I made all this jam myself. You can try some if you want. Kitty, 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 kitty. So Espella has a pet cat. Its name is Eve, huh? Finely groomed black cat, I must say. I'm sure Espella takes excellent care of it. Roof windows make this room very bright. It's a very pleasant room. You can see the blue sky through the windows in the roof. Aunt Patty chose this room for me. It's such a cute cat, so well behaved and clever too. Thank you, Eve is a real friend. Oh, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. Mr. Layton, you wanted to ask me something, didn't you? What was it that you wanted to know? Well, there are a few things. Perhaps I'd better ask them one at a time. It may take a little while if you can spare the time. Yes, of course, anything I can do to help. Thank you, Espella. Well then, first off, what I want to ask Espella about is, after we separated in London, Espella's memories... After we separated in London... Could you tell us again what happened? Between the time that we were separated in London and you're returning to Labyrinthia? You said you can't clearly recall what happened to you, is that right? No, I can't. When I came to, I was back here in Labyrinthia. I can remember everything up until I boarded the cargo ship. But after that, I just can't seem to remember how I got back here. It seems the townsfolk didn't even notice that I'd been away. I almost thought the whole thing must have just been a dream. Until the two of you appeared here in Labyrinthia. It seems I wasn't dreaming after all. Yes, indeed, it all really did happen. You came to my office, and then the witch came for you. So does that mean that the witch brought the Espella back to Labyrinthia? Well, I suppose so, but why was I in London in the first place, eh? Why did I meet you two gentlemen? And why was the witch after me? I just can't seem to remember why. Espella, you and Carmine were running away from the witches, weren't you? Carmine? Do you mean to say that you don't remember being in London with Carmine? Carmine took you with him and tried to escape from this town. Carmine took me with him and tried to escape? I'm sorry, I do have a vague memory of Carmine, but why was I in London? I just can't seem to remember. What I want to ask Espella about is... our memories? Do you remember this letter, Espella? A letter? Yes, Carmine gave you this letter and instructed you to bring it to me. You followed his advice and brought it to me in my office. That letter, could I take a closer look at it? Yes, of course. Do you remember anything? I don't remember the letter, but its writing does look somewhat familiar. I do have a feeling that there was someone there next to me. He has a little bit of a Sherlock Holmes air about him, doesn't he? Espella, are you alright? I think I remember Carmine. Really? You're right, I do know him. I definitely know Carmine. Carmine was here in this town. In fact, he was in this very shop. In this shop, Espella? But according to the townsfolk, they've never even heard of him. Yes, that's right. What they say contradicts what I remember. That's why I'm finding it so difficult to trust my own memories. Please don't let that deter you. We'd be grateful to hear what you know. What I want to ask Espella about is... what she can recall. Please, do let us know what you can recall. According to my memory, Carmine was working here in this bakery, But there are already 2 workers in the shop, right? Mr. Wright and Maya. Those 2 have also been working here making bread for some time now. Or at least I'm quite sure that must be the case. Mrs. Eclair and anyone else around here would soon tell you so. That's why I put no faith in my memory. This difference in perception is certainly intriguing. And the fact that Carmine worked here as me somewhat curious. Do you think all the townsfolk could just be pretending not to know? I mean, maybe Carmine really was here and they're acting like they don't remember. After all, he did mention in that letter that he wrote that he escaped from Labyrinthia. How about we go and ask a few people around the town? No, Luke, I don't think that's a good idea, as you are no doubt well aware by now. A single word out of place can be enough to bring in the knights against us. Not only that, but I really cannot believe that Mrs. Eclair would pretend not to know him. She's always so straight with people, she's never two-faced. I see. Perhaps, Luke, we should be thankful that she took care of him. Yes, you're right, of course, Professor. By the way, in that letter, Carmine claimed that this town held a mysterious secret. He implied that he wanted me to solve Labyrinthia's mystery. Do you have any idea what that mystery could be? Labyrinthia's mystery? I'm sorry, but I've never even suspected that this town holds any secrets. Then what might it have been that Carmine was investigating? What was Carmine investigating? I think I might know what it could be. One time Carmine asked me this. Why is it that whatever is written by the storyteller in the Historia Labyrinthia always becomes fact? If that puzzle can be solved, then we will unravel the mystery of Labyrinthia, he said. So Carmine didn't believe that what's written must always come true either. Well, I'm not sure, but what? It's only natural that what's written in that book must come true. And it's hard for me to believe that both of you and Carmine could doubt this. Well, speaking for myself, I can't just believe it so easily. Nevertheless, to the people of Labyrinthia, it appears to be a matter of common sense. Which is why those knights treated us with such suspicion. That's true, but are you saying that in your London there's no story? Well, there are certainly none that come true, as the Historia Labyrinthia does. In the world as we know it, such a notion is inconceivable. As I suspected, Carmine is from the same London as you two. So I suppose it makes perfect sense that you should all think in that way. Incidentally, what action did Carmine take after he came to suspect the story? Well, Carmine often visited the Great Archive. The Great Archive? Yes, that's where all the volumes of the story are kept. You mean to say all previous volumes too? Yes, every volume of the story so far, all of them. I see. In other words, he wanted to confirm the authenticity of the story. But Professor, surely he wouldn't be in trouble with the witches just for looking at some books. As I recall in the letter he sent to me, he wrote, I realized the town held a mysterious secret, and decided to get to the bottom of it. But before I could, they found me. I believe that was it, which probably means it wasn't just ordinary books that he was investigating. It's quite likely that the books had something to do with the witches. So you mean Carmine came close to unraveling Labyrinthia's mystery, and therefore became the witch's target? Is what you are suggesting? I believe that would be highly probable. But why did the witches... Espella, have there been other stories involving witches before this? Yes, there have been many stories about them. All of these stories are also being kept in the Great Archive. What I want to ask Espella about is... Okay, excuse me. Just checking. Okay. The Witch's Story. Stories about the witches are no doubt a source of considerable fear for the townsfolk, so why is it deemed necessary to keep such stories in the Great Archive? They are an important source of information for the Inquisition. Their prime objective is to capture witches and protect the people of the town. So you're saying that in order to fight the witches, it is essential to read about them and learn their ways. Yes, that's right. Stories involving the witches are under the authority of the Order of Knights. And the Order of Knights was established to protect the town of Labyrinthia. The storyteller, the Order of Knights, and the Inquisition, they are the ones who govern this town. The entire fate of Labyrinthia is decided by the Creator, otherwise known as the Storyteller. That personage is the weaver of all life in Labyrinthia, including the current horrifying story involving the actions of a witch. It then falls to the Order of Knights to protect the townsfolk from such events. The Knights not only protect the people but also act as the storyteller's guard. And finally, the Inquisition is responsible for trying the witches in the witches' court. That is the manner in which this town is managed and order is maintained. Undoubtedly, it was the Order of Knights keeping peace during the parade we saw. That's right, the storyteller holds those parades from time to time. He gives the townsfolk the story that will determine their fate from that time onwards. The story this time involved a witch, which explains why the knights were on such high alert. I wonder what spells will be used this time, if only we could check in that book. Just a moment, Spilla. What was it that you just said? Do you mean to say that there is a book about magic? Yes, there is. In the Great Archive, it describes all of the spells that provide the witches with their wicked power. It is a special book used by the Knights of the Inquisition to aid them in their investigations. That's it, that must have been what Carmine was so interested in. He was investigating the witch's power. Of course, it is possible that he came upon a secret that he shouldn't have known. And that's why the witches attacked him. Indeed, Luke, that may well be the reason. The story is so respected by the people and the witches whom they fear. There could be a certain secret connecting these two in some way. Thank you, Espella. It seems we now know where to begin with our investigation. So you'll be visiting the Great Archive? Yes, indeed. The book about magic that resides there may well provide a valuable clue towards unraveling the mystery of Labyrinthia. We'd better get going with our investigation straight away, right, Professor? Absolutely, Luke. We must solve this puzzle for Carmine's sake, as well as for our own. Mr. Layton. Please take me along with you. I'm not sure that's wise. It might put you in more than little trouble. It is likely that Carmine's investigations are what led to him being pursued by witches, and if that's the case, the path we tread may well be fraught with danger. Even so, I really would like to help you. Talking with you both like this, I too have come to believe that there must be a secret to this town. I want to help you find the truth. Well, Espella, I suppose that settles it. From here on in, let's all do our very best to solve this mystery together. Yes, together. I'm the Professor's apprentice, so if there's anything you need to know, just ask. Thank you, Luke. I'll be sure to do that. Well then, without any further ado, let's follow in Carmine's footsteps and visit the Great Archive. I'm quite certain that's where the clues are waiting to be found. Yes, let's go. Not you, Eve. I'm afraid you'll have to stay here until I get back. Excuse me. Meow. Oh, my pendant. I almost forgot it. That's a lovely pendant, Espella. It's very old. I can't even remember how old I was when I started wearing it. Right, sorry to have kept you. Shall we leave for the Great Archive now? Oh, Espella, are you off out somewhere? Yes, I'm taking Mr. Layton and Luke to see the Great Archive. Is that so? Well, you might want to hurry. It looks like it might rain at any time. Ah, yes, that reminds me. Could you get me something while you're out? Just on your way back would be fine. Yes, of course. What can I get for you? Some goat's milk from Mary. I forgot to get some when I was at the market. Okay, I'll drop round to Mary's farm on the way back. Would you? There's a milk bucket ready round back. Milk, you say? Naturally, our bakery uses only the finest goat's milk for our milk loaf. It's so fluffy and white, it's delicious. Core, sounds great. Let's be certain to try some later, Luke. I'm totally up for that. She has a puzzle. So you two are good at problem solving, are you? Well, actually more like puzzle solving than problem solving, really. Is that so? Well, perhaps you could help me then. Someone came to me for help and it's a little difficult for me to solve. He has bread with different faces. I want to get some more coffee if you don't mind. Whoops. Yeah, just like that would be fine. Okay, excuse me. I'll be back in a minute. Neighbors always yelling in this place. Yeah, I should remove this before I forget. There we go. It's eccentric tailor. Okay, there we go. A customer wishes to have their fabric design filled with color. Use the magical stamp to fulfill the customer's request and color in the design. Stamping a previously colored area will cause that colored area to disappear. Slide the stamp around with the stylus and touch the touch screen to stamp. Use the touch screen to guide you. Okay. Okay, touch the touch screen below and slide the stylus to move the stamp around on the upper screen. The stamp, lightly tap the touch screen. If you stamp down on an area that already has color, those colors will disappear. Use the stamp to fill in the scale design on the screen. Okay. And so it's supposed to resemble this. Uh-huh. That's not quite it, isn't it? Is it? Ah, excuse me. I managed to do the right side, but now I need to find a way to do the exact same thing on the left, and that's not easy. I managed to do the right thing on the left, and now I have to do the right thing on the right. Like I said before, I didn't have the best night of sleep, so... what am I doing? It's gonna be tough now, I feel. Restart. I don't know. I don't know how I did it. I have to do the same thing on both sides at the same time, I think. Yeah, actually doing both sides at the same time might help. Because I can't remember how I did the part on the left in the first place. That's it, okay. It's actually not that complicated.
See what you think of this.
But I really should have started by
let me
doing
do the
it,
next one
doing
too?
the same thing on those mirrored parts, since it is exactly the same method. But if there's another puzzle later that involves doing two separate halves, that might become a lot more complicated. Wonderful, that is quite the lovely design. The customer is sure to be pleased. Well, I'd never. You've really solved it, haven't you? If you have a puzzle to be solved, you can always rely on us. What a gentleman. I'll have to bake you something extra special later to show my appreciation. I'm already looking forward to it. These two don't have puzzles, do they? So you're both friends of Espella's. I'm glad to see she has friends like you. Sorry if I came across as rude earlier, please pay it no thought. It's just that sometimes I get carried away when I'm pounding the dough like that. But it was kind of surprising to hear a big thump like that even if you were just kneading the dough. I think it's exactly the... And when you said, take that, my heart nearly stopped. When I bake grit bread, I guess I just feel the need to present it to the customer like that. Okay, yeah, it's almost, if not exactly the same dialogue as before. The guards are gone. It looks like the knights have given up searching for us. Thank goodness. Yes, it seems you're right, Luke. From the look of things, we should be safe to explore a little more before making our way to the Great Archive. A new destination has been added to the map, Great Archive entrance. Okay. Here we are. This is the Great Archive. Wow! It looked impressive even from a distance, but now we're here up close. It's huge. That's what she said. Sorry! I can't help myself. Just looking up at it makes my neck ache. It must have taken considerable time and manpower to erect a building of that size. Erect, huh? I'm not doing it on purpose, it's the game just pushing me. Yes, it did. This building has become something of a symbol for the town. Huh? Hey, look at that roof over there. Looks like there was a fire, yeah. It looks like it suffered considerable fire damage at some point. Was there a major fire or something? That was... I've been listening for a while and must say you two really are strange. Oh, it's you. That roof has been like that for some time. It's certainly nothing new. Really? If it's alright with you, could you tell us a little about it? You two never cease to amaze me with your incredible lack of knowledge. Well, I guess it couldn't hurt to tell you that damage is from the legendary fire. The legendary fire? Yes, long ago there was a huge fire that engulfed almost this entire town. The damage there occurred at that time. You can see other traces of the fire around the town too, here and there. The entire town was engulfed in a huge fire? All of the townsfolk knew about it. You're probably the only ones that don't. Thank you for filling us in. That certainly cleared up a few things. No problem, it so happens I had nothing better to do. It wasn't such a bad way to kill time. Anyway, I'll see you around. To think that even a building of this size could be affected by fire. The fire that spread through a town really must have been legendary. You're certainly right about that, Luke. Espella, is something the matter? Oh, no, nothing at all. Shall we make our way inside? One. It looks even taller when you see it up close. I can't even see the top. It requires a lot of architectural knowledge to construct a building of this size. It makes me feel giddy just looking up at it. Seeing it like this, you get an idea of how monumental the Grid Archive is. The symbol from the flag can be found throughout the town. It's an odd symbol, maybe it's unique to this town. The quills seem to represent the storyteller. It's his crest. Hey! No! Out. That's 2. Wow, 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 wow. And that's 3. Puzzle time! It just won't do, it's completely unacceptable. What's unacceptable? There's no one in the world more splendid than Inquisitor Barnum. And yet every time, it's that woman who gets to stand alongside the storyteller. It's so unfair. You mean the woman who was distributing the story to the crowd, is that right? To be honest, I found her a little scary. I'm sure it's all some plan of hers. Plan. Yeah, plan. I just feel sorry for my poor Zackums. Oh, if only I could get closer, I could offer my support. It would certainly be difficult to get close with that bustling crowd all around, perhaps even dangerous. I'd try... Huh? I could float down beside him from one of the fluffy clouds in the sky. What? Okay, how did she do that? Cloud maze. Navigate Luke through the clouds and help him find the professor. Jumping into holes in the clouds will drop Luke down to the level below. Likewise, jumping onto fluffy clouds will send him flying up to the level above. Touch the arrows on the touchscreen to move in the direction indicated. Do your best to reach the goal. You can also move using the plus control pad or circle pad. Where am I supposed to go again? Make it to the goal. Or so they say. So far, there's only one way, so... Well, that's the goal right there. Isn't it? Professor!
Yay!
See what you think of this. Professor, I did it!
I did it, Professor! Amazing! Luke and the Professor have been reunited. Great job. Professor, I don't think she's coming back. We can only hope that she manages to reach the man she's after. Uh-oh, not good. What shall I do? What's the matter? Is there something troubling you, madam? Oh yes, something certainly is troubling me, I mean. Today's scary story, it's just so frightening. I may be afraid, but I have to do it. I have to finish my delivery. See this? A whole satchel full of letters. A letter fest, and I have to deliver them all. Oh my, that really is a lot of letters. If you'd like, I could help by delivering a few of them for you. Oh, Wispella! No, it's alright. After all, it's my job. And anyway, you look busy right now yourself. Well, a little, but we should always help each other out in times of need. I'm okay. Don't worry about me. I've got it covered. Right, I'm off. I can do this. I can deliver them all. The letters, I mean. Nothing can stop the Labyrinthia courier. Not if you leave so many letters behind. Ah, she's gone. She really was in a hurry, wasn't she? But is she really alright? She seemed a bit flustered. I think she's just very, very busy. Come on, let's head to the Great Archive. Wow, there are books crammed in here from floor to ceiling. Truly remarkable. Are all of these books stories? Yes, they are. All of them. It's said that these were all written by the storyteller. All of these books, but there are so many. Excuse me, beg your pardon. Look out, gangway. I got him. Don't worry. Piece of cake. Phew, told you, no problem. Sorry to startle you folk. I didn't think there was anyone here. That's alright. It's lucky that you didn't drop any books. I don't think I've ever seen anyone carry so many books at once. Aren't they heavy? I love books, so I feel like a mother carrying their baby. If you love books too, why not carry a few with me? I do love books, but I don't think I could carry that many. You obviously don't understand the true enjoyment of books. Embracing books, being buried in books, the feel of books, the smell of books. Listening to the sound of the pages turning, gazing up at books piled high, being surrounded by books and playing with them. That's how to enjoy books. I'm not sure I totally agree. Dewey? That voice, that's Ispella, isn't it? Uh-oh. Here we go again. Please remain calm. You wouldn't want to drop those books. Just leave it to me, see? All under control. Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you like that. Dewey, we've come here to find a book about magic. Magic? I should have known. That is, never mind. Well, if it's magic that you're interested in, then might I suggest the Grand Grimoire? The Grand Grimoire, you say? We'd like to borrow that book if we may. Well, you'll need Miss Mysterio's permission. Are you sure you want to borrow it? Absolutely, we're very interested in magic. Friends of Espellas, interested in magic? So these two must also be. Whoops, no! I'm losing them! Silence! That's her? Riddle Mystère? Like a riddle? Silence in the library! A librarian. Monica, where are you? I wish you were here. There are two identical statues, one on each side. The statues portray people reading. Maybe that's supposed to motivate those who come here to read more. The statues look much bigger when you get closer. There's one. Still looking for more coins? This appears to be documentation on accidents and criminal cases. There's nothing on magic and or witches in here. A candle chandelier. How do they light the candles? I would venture a guess that they light them from the second floor with the aid of a long stick. Reading by candlelight can ruin your eyesight. Oh, I remember seeing very bright streetlights in London. They were so strange. An owl statue. This is a frequently used motif in this town. Ah, that's right. The flags also have an owl symbol on them. 2. The door, no. The crest down there? No. The statue? There has to be a second coin somewhere. There it is. This guy has no puzzles. Only Miss Mystère can give permission to borrow the Grand Grimoire. But I doubt she would allow it. The Great Archive was founded for those in the noble pursuit of knowledge. I must ask you to be a little quieter, please. Dewey, as a budding librarian, I would have thought that you would have known better. I'm sorry, Miss Mystère, but these people say they want to borrow the Grand Grimoire. Did you say the Grand Grimoire? You're Espella Cantabella. You of all people must know the significance of the Grand Grimoire. It is an important piece of literature which can only be viewed by learned persons of significant status. It's not like I can just give my permission to whoever asks for it, you know? I understand that, but this man, I'm sorry, but rules cannot be changed. The request is all mine. That book could prove it's indispensable for my investigations into magic. And you are? Excuse me, but may I ask your name? I'm Herschel Layton. I'm investigating this town. You could say I'm a traveler, so to speak. A traveler? I'm afraid I have never come across such a profession. Well, I suppose we can return to that later. My name is Riddle Mystère. I am a librarian as well as curator of the Great Archive. And I am therefore responsible for all pieces of work here, including the Grand Grimoire. I'm afraid that no matter what your profession or who you are, it is beyond my authority to lend you the Grand Grimoire. It is simply against the rules. The rules? Can't you make an exception for us? Luke, please, leave this to me. I can understand that you are unable to show this book to just anyone. However, as you yourself said just a moment ago, the Great Archive was founded for those in the noble pursuit of knowledge. And I am currently very much in the pursuit of knowledge regarding magic. Perhaps you would consider letting me at least peruse the Grand Grimoire. Only learned persons of significant status, and in particular inquisitors, are permitted to refer to the Grand Grimoire. Inquisitors. Those who administer justice in this town, now Knights of Wisdom as they are known. Only somebody with equal status to that of an Inquisitor or with the same level of wisdom would qualify. So if I could demonstrate the required level of wisdom, then I would qualify? You certainly are a persistent gentleman. Very well, let's see what you make of a trial. This trial has been used in the past to test the ability of aspiring Inquisitors. If you are able to clear this trial, then I will acknowledge that your wisdom matches that of an Inquisitor. If you can achieve this, and as Curator of the Great Archive, I will lend you that book. Splendid, then by all means do begin. You certainly have some confidence, let's see if you can live up to it. Do you think you can pass this trial, at which so many hopefuls have stumbled? See what you can do with this. But it's a puzzle, what else could it be? Excuse me. Okay, make your way through the maze of strange clocks into the goal. You can only move in the direction of the clock hands. With each step you take, the clock hands will rotate 90 degrees, so take care. Touch the arrows on the touchscreen, yeah, or you can use the D-pad. Well, there wasn't much choice so far, okay. If I go down, I'll be allowed to go down again or left. If I go right, I'll be allowed to go down. Uh-huh. Well, I'm at the goal, aren't I? I know. Ah, there we go. Okay, I made it.
I've already seen the answer. You should expect no less from a gentleman.
Success, you've proven that time truly doesn't stop for anyone. How can this be? That hardly seemed a challenge for you. Who are you, and how did you do that so effortlessly? More importantly than who I am, there is one thing of which I am certain, and that is that every puzzle has an answer. So do I qualify? Not so fast. Do you really believe that my permission can be obtained as easily as that? That was no more than a preliminary trial to separate the wheat from the chaff. Now, for the real trial, even a man of your caliber should find this challenging. This trial will have your eyes rolling and your head spinning. Miss Mystere, I've never seen you get this excited. Silence! Be quiet, Dewey. Sorry! I assume it's safe to predict that this will not be quite so simple. Ahem, this will put an end to that overconfidence. Prepare to lose your mind in this mind-bending puzzle. It won't be lost, then it won't be bent. Out of time. Wait, what? Note that the clock hands on the purple clocks appear to rotate at 3 times the speed of regular clocks. Better watch your step, okay? Before I forget, I must warn you, you no longer have the luxury of undoing a move. One teeny tiny miscalculation and it's game over. I do hope you don't mind. Can't undo. Well, I couldn't make any other move on the first one. Okay, here comes the first choice. If I move right, I'll be allowed to go to the right or down. If I go down, I'll be stuck. So let's go that way. If I go right, I would only be allowed to go down. The hands will be pointing up. And then after I make another move, it will be pointing left. No! I didn't mean to press down. Oh, I can step on those that don't have any hands. But I made it anyway.
I've
Okay, well...
already seen the answer. Ah, the joy of solving puzzles.
The joy of solving puzzles. You made it. The last-minute change to the rules of the maze was clearly not enough to catch you out. How? My mind-bending puzzle. You didn't lose your mind. On the contrary, you found the solution. That's just impossible. Oh, my glasses. My book. Don't look at me. My glasses. Let me put them on. Just a moment. That's better. I apologize. For a moment there, I lost my composure. But to see my trial cleared like that, it seems I underestimated you, sir. It was a fascinating puzzle, no more than I'd expect from the curator of the Great Archive. I find your confidence rather disconcerting. I hope someday to have the pleasure of showing you a puzzle that will make those little round eyes of yours spin in your head. But nevertheless, a promise is a promise. I hereby grant you your permission. The special viewing room containing the Grand Grimoire is located on the first floor. As I'm sure you are already aware, that book is of unparalleled importance. By no means may it be treated with anything but the utmost care. Of course, Miss Mystère, thank you for granting me permission. Well then, shall we proceed to the special viewing room? I shall have to accompany you since the room is locked. You did it, Professor! You cleared both trials in one fell swoop. It was amazing, Mr. Layton. It's well known that Miss Mystère is an avid collector of puzzles. And I've heard that the puzzles she presents are always very difficult to solve. I see, so there are collectors of puzzles in this place too. What do you mean? Oh, nothing important. Right then, no use in waiting around. Let's go and take a look at the Grand Grimoire. Right you are, Professor. Forgive me. This is the special viewing room. I'm sure a gentleman such as yourself will understand, but seeing as this is a special room not open to the general public, I must insist that you all be on your best behavior. Wow, this room feels so grand and elegant. It's my first time in here too. I must admit I feel a little nervous. It certainly does give some indication of the importance of the book being kept here. That book in the center must be the Grand Grimoire. Okay, let's look for coins first. Oh, these colors and the brush strokes. This wasn't painted by some amateur. An abstract painting is soft colors. It reminds me of a meadow in spring. Yeah, there are 3 coins in this one too. Ah. There's one. On one of these. Number 2. It looks like candles are the only source of light at night in the Grid Archive. The quiet Grid Archive bathed in warm candlelight looks very peaceful. It looks very nice, but I wouldn't want to be the one who replaces all these candles when they burn out. It's locked. I can't even peek inside. A cabinet that cannot be opened. This smells like a puzzle to me. It won't open no matter how much I push or pull. Maybe it's locked with a puzzle. There is no keyhole. How can we open it? Oh, it appears we could not open it simply because the door was not fitted properly. What's that? But I already examined this. There should be a 3rd coin. Where is it? Candlesticks? I'm not sure where to look. I'll search with the control stick instead. Just hoping to find something. This painting, no. I haven't found 3 yet, have I? Unless it is behind where she's standing and so you can't get it until she's gone. Ah! There it was. Okay, let's save, perhaps. I believe I haven't saved in quite some time, yeah. It had been some time. Okay. This tome is the Grand Grimoire. Please treat it with care. This is incredible. It's crammed with information about magic. People say it's the magic used by the witches. If that's so, then the magic we saw in London must be in here somewhere too. That may well be true, Luke. A tome as thick as this must surely contain such information. Finding it has been daunting, though. Excuse me. What's this, Professor? This page is different from the others. What is this? This page isn't about magic at all. Something about it makes me feel uneasy. Luke, this page, it appears to be addressed to someone, don't you think? Oh, you mean like a message? Let's read it, Professor. From a time long ago, the ancient flame has been locked in an infinite vault of books, waiting for the awakening. When the sun and moon watching over the sage swap places to show their true form, the door to the past will open. When the sun and the moon watching over the sage swap places to show their true form, the door to the past will open. Sun and moon watching over the sage swap places. Once a person of perspicacity has fulfilled the challenge, the door will be open. Until then, I will wait for the time of the awakening. What is this? How can this be? Why is this in here? How did something like this get into the Grand Grimoire? It's just not possible. I can't understand it. No one entered the special viewing room before you came here. And whenever someone enters this room, I always accompany them in this way. So that means that the page must have changed at some point, doesn't it? Could that really be possible? Perhaps with some kind of device? Unthinkable. There is only one key to this room, so no one can enter without being granted my permission. I assure you it's true, on my honor as a curator. But then how can anyone have done this? Luke, I believe we both know who might be capable of such an act. Eh? You mean witches, don't you? Witches! We don't know yet who changed that page, but the more important matter is what's written in here. The infinite vault of books mentioned here presumably refers to the Great Archive, which implies there is a secret of some sort hidden within the library. Professor, what about this part? A person of perspicacity. A person with great wits. An intelligent person. Well, I believe that could be referring to Carmine. He came here regularly to investigate. So it's certainly somewhat likely, which means our next objective is to find the answer that he was looking for. It's a bit of a spooky message, but if we can open this door to the past, then it will surely be one step closer to solving this mystery. Just a moment, please. I'm the curator here, and I won't be allowing you to investigate anything without my permission. So you mean we can't investigate? Not at all. I'm simply insisting that you allow me to accompany you. There should be no doors in this library that I don't know about. And even if there is something hidden somewhere as suggested by this message, it is my duty as curator to know what that is. I completely understand, Miss Mystere. We can only benefit from your presence. Now then, how about we all make our way back to the entrance? Let's think about where this door could be from there. But Professor, supposing there is a door, that message is such a puzzle in itself, don't you think it'll be difficult to find? You may be right, and this library is so large. Finding anything will surely take a good deal of our time. No, I think not. You're both missing something here. I believe I may well know what is meant by the words in this message. Eh? Really, Professor? Yes, if you'll just remember the wording. From a time long ago, the ancient flame has been locked in an infinite vault of books, waiting for the awakening. When the sun and moon watching over the sage swap places to show their true form, the door to the past will open. Excuse me. There's something I must confirm. Okay, never mind. Once a person of perspicacity has fulfilled the challenge, the door will be open. Until then, I will wait for the time of the awakening. If you'll both take a look around this room, you'll notice we are surrounded by books. There's probably nowhere else in the library with more books than there are right here. Whoops. Excuse me. There are books extending all the way up. We're completely surrounded by them. And the key to opening the door is in the sun and moon watching over the sage. Well, there's a sun and a moon in those windows up there. Swapping places, you say? What could that mean? There are no windows, so no light can come in from the sun or the moon. Precisely, which means it is not the real sun and moon that are being referred to here. And they are located where they can watch over the sage, in other words, behind. Perhaps you have already realized to whom the sage is referring. Right then, let's find the sun and moon watching over the sage and open the door. That looks like a sage to me. That also looks like a sage to me. I see a sun and what looks like a moon. I wonder if this has got something to do with the sun in that message we just saw. But there's nothing remotely resembling the moon in sight. Or this? Ah, what's that? It's a sun and the moon construction. Oh. So the sage must be, that's right, the sage of this library refers to the curator. And this sun and moon construction is located right behind her seat. So that's what the sun and moon watching over the sage was referring to. And when the sun and moon swap places, their true form will be shown, and the door to the past will open, so all we need to do is work out what that means. But what does it mean by their true form? What if we interpret it as at face value? It would suggest that we are currently seeing their untrue form. Have a look at this. There seems to be some sort of mechanism in place. Professor, if you look closely, there seems to be a puzzle hidden here. Sun and the moon. There are 2 tiles on each side with an image of the sun and the moon. Maneuver the tiles so that the sun and the moon swap sides. I may be taking more moves than are actually required, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I managed to swap 2, but... Yeah, it definitely feels like what I'm doing is not optimal, but well. It is possible to solve this puzzle in like 10 moves. Did you manage 10 moves? No, 50.
I've already seen the answer.
I don't know. Just,
Come what may, puzzles are there to be solved.
Usually when there's a counter, it's just so that they can taunt you in the end, telling you, but did you know that the most optimal solution is only this many moves? Ah, no, they don't. Ah, okay. The mysterious library puzzle is solved, but just what will happen next? Ah, Professor, there's a stairway! Who would have thought there could be anything like this hidden here? The ancient flame has been locked in an infinite vault of books. I wonder just how what we'll... I wonder just what we'll find down there. Sorry, excuse me. An entrance to a basement below the Great Archive? Am I right in thinking that you knew nothing of the stairway's existence? That's right. And if I, as the curator, knew nothing of it, then surely no one else could. It's hard to believe that a secret such as this could have been hidden here all this time. Who could have possibly left such a message? It might be wise not to let anyone see what has been revealed here. I agree. I'll be back as soon as I have asked the other visitors to leave the building. Well then, are you both ready? You betcha! Let's go, Professor. You too, Espella. Okay then, Luke. A new destination has been added to the map. Great Archive Cellar. This place appears to be some sort of historic site. It's amazing to think a place like this could exist under the library. I wonder when it dates from. Ah, that mural. It can't be. The Great Fire, or whatever they call it. Two, three. I'm glad this is solved. Two things to inspect, plus talking to her. This wall painting is a bit scary, isn't it? A monster attacking a burning town? There's also a woman hurling fire. I suppose she must be a witch? That woman is the Great Witch, Miss Mystere. This certainly doesn't bode well, a painting of the Great Witch here. Do you know anything about the witch in this painting? You don't know of the Great Witch, but how can that be possible for a man of your learning? Well, never mind. I'm sure you must have your reasons. I don't wish to pry. I appreciate that. Would you mind perhaps telling us a bit about this witch? The woman in this painting is the Great Witch Bezella. And this painting depicts the infamous legendary fire that she caused. Excuse me, there's something I need to check. Yeah, okay. I'll stop recharging my phone here. Okay. And this painting depicts the infamous legendary fire that she caused. The legendary fire. She is the witch in charge of all witches, whose very existence poses the greatest threat known to Labyrinthia. I thought it was a dragon at first. I didn't see the head of a woman up there. The Great Witch Bezella, she is the root of all Labyrinthia woes. The Great Witch Bezella. What do you mean by the root of all Labyrinthia woes? Okay. The reason for all of Labyrinthia's suffering at the hands of witches lies in the very existence of the Great Witch Bezella. Would you mind elaborating? The Great Witch Bezella is the source of all the other witches. As long as she exists, there will be no end to other witches. While the Great Witch Bezella is with us, the townspeople will forever live in fear under the shadow of witches. So you mean that if there were no Great Witch, there could be peace? No Great Witch? That's easy enough to say. But while all of the knights have been searching for Bezella, nobody has ever been able to find her. There are very few clues and no one has ever seen her in person. Nevertheless, the Great Witch Bazilla is undoubtedly present in Labyrinthia. How can you be so certain? Because her deep claw marks can still be seen throughout the town. Claw marks? You must all have seen them too, the traces of that fire when you entered this library. Ah, yes, there was a part of this building that had suffered noticeable damage. Bazilla is a fearful witch who has all other witches doing her bidding. Long ago, this town was reduced to ashes as a result of her fiery magic. Reduced to ashes? That must have been, let me see, 100 or so years ago. It was on the evening of the Fire Festival, held every year in honor of the Great Witch Bazilla. The Great Witch's fury was unleashed without warning as the entire town burned. That's terrible. That was a legendary fire. Every person in this town knows about it. The legendary fire. That's what she said, yeah. No need to repeat it. The rebuilding of the town was a long and arduous process, and all the while Bazilla must have been watching and laughing from the shadows. That's awful. Even now, the legend of long ago continues to cause real suffering among the townsfolk. To think that a painting of that fearful witch could be right here in the basement of my beloved library. What is it doing here of all places? There's nothing for it. I'll just have to have this room sealed shut. Please, let's keep the existence of this room strictly between ourselves. For the good of the people. As for me, I shall do my best to forget all about this hidden room. I'm afraid I'd rather not remain in here a minute longer. It's time I started closing up the library for today. I'm not done checking the place out. I can't help but feel we've done something wrong. Luke, do you recall the words towards the end of that message? Do you mean until then I will wait? That's right, when we opened this door, or rather when we were guided towards opening this door, I could sense someone else's will at work. It's almost as if our following Carmine and coming to this library had all been planned out in advance. Surely you don't mean that we were beckoned here by the Great Witch Bazilla? Bazilla.
Huh? Is something the matter? Are you feeling all right, Espella?
Yes, I'm fine, really.
Espella?
Yes? What is it?
It's just that, well, you've been so quiet.
Oh, it's nothing. It's just that this room, it's a little chilly, don't you think?
The atmosphere is a bit sinister, not to mention that scary picture. Maybe it's about time we made a move from here?
Yes, indeed.
Those words at the end of the message. I will wait. What if we weren't meant to be the ones being called here? Join Professor Layton and revisit some of the story's major mysteries. Such a mystery to view it. Yeah, well. Okay, this one is solved. Carmine had been visiting the Great Archive to investigate one of Labyrinthia's secrets, the secret being the ancient remains found hidden in a room beneath the library. Who would have thought that the secret Carmine was after was the mural of the Great Witch Bazilla under the library? Underground mural. Hidden beneath the Great Archive were ancient remains in which was enshrined an ominous wall painting depicting the town being consumed by fire. When was this painting created, and by whom? Was it by chance that we found this wall painting, or were we in fact led to it by someone? Phew, it's much more relaxing here, isn't it? It felt so intense and claustrophobic down there. Yes, it certainly did. Today has been full of surprises. Not only did I meet up with you two again, but we also found that mural in the library. It seems that this town really does hold a mysterious secret, doesn't it? What shall we do now? I'd certainly like to learn more about this magic. We've been in here for quite some time. It must be getting late. It's probably best if we wind up our investigating for today and take a rest. You must both be feeling tired. Yes, I suppose you're right. I'd be happy to do a little more investigating with you two. But I have an errand to run before it gets too late. I'm still up for investigating further. Whatever the puzzle, I'm ready to solve it. Haha, Luke, I could hear your tummy rumbling from here just now. Hey, don't forget, the lady at the bakery told you to bring her back goat milk or something. Well, I can't pretend I'm not a little hungry. If you haven't arranged accommodation yet, why don't you both stay at the bakery? Yeah, all in the same bed. There is a room free. Ah, there is a room free. So I'm sure it'd be alright. How big is that building then? I wonder. Excuse me, there's something I need to check real quick. Okay. Okay, excuse me. And Mrs. Eclair would love to have you. What do you say? Well, if you put it like that, we'd be delighted to stay. Thank you, Espella. And there's all that delicious bread, too. I'm looking forward to it already. Professor Layton, do you have to be going? Yes, sorry for all the trouble we put you to. Not at all, although I still can't get used to there being a secret room under the library. It's been a while since I last met someone capable of solving my puzzles. And as I promised, you have my permission to borrow the Grand Grimoire. If you have any need for it in the future, please do drop by and let me know. Thank you very much, Miss Mystere. It's been a pleasure. Oh, there's just one more thing. I have all of Labyrinthia's puzzles stored here in this library. As you continue with your investigations here in Labyrinthia, there will likely be puzzles that you cannot solve or which you do not find. Such puzzles will come to me. Anytime you wish to solve such puzzles, just visit me and I will show them to you. Puzzles that we cannot solve or do not find, you say. Very well. Then I look forward to seeing you again. I'll be waiting. Please take care on your way home. It's already become dark out there. And if I remember rightly, the storyteller's latest story did mention the evening. You take care too. Until we meet again, Miss Mystere. Is it the end of a chapter? Wow, it's already this dark out here. I didn't realize we were in there so long. In other Layton games, when it becomes nighttime, it considers the locations you've already visited to be other locations. And so there are more hint coins to find. I wonder if that's the case here. It looks as if it must have been raining up until a moment ago. The ground is still wet. Yes, and that reminds me of what Mrs. Eclair was saying before we left. She said you might want to hurry. It looks like it might rain at any time. Let's get a move on. You too, Espella. Hey, where is she? That's strange. She's not here. I wonder where she could have gone. Perhaps she's still in the Great Archive. Slowly does it, step by step. Oh, are you two still here? Can you let me through? I have to lock up. Hello, Dewey. Have you seen Espella? If you're looking for Espella, she left while you were still talking to Miss Mystere. Hey, I wonder why. She said something about having to buy some milk, even though it was still raining. Ah, yes, I do remember Mrs. Eclair asking her to get some milk for the bakery. It was raining, you said. Yes, it started raining about the time you all went down into that library basement. When Espella left just now, it did look as if the rain was about to stop. Ah, yes, she left a message for you. She said to go back without her. But she didn't have to go alone, especially in the dark. I'm sure she'll be fine. If it's only milk she needs, then she can get it at the market. It's not far, so she should be back soon. If anything, I'd be more worried about you two being the ones in danger. You know, in the story, it said there were 2 companions. If your work here is finished, then I suggest you both go home. I don't want to get caught up in anything. Luke, why don't we head back to the bakery and wait for Espella there? I suppose so. I guess she'll be alright, right? Mm-hmm. It would be here, I think, if she went to get some milk, no? Armor and weapons for the knights? No, probably not. Town square? No. Outskirts? No. Excuse me. Professor, I smell freshly baked bread. I wonder if that could be Mrs. Eclair's work. Let's go inside. Yes we could. Although we could also take a walk around the town at night. If there's nothing else you'd particularly like to see, perhaps we should head back in. It's true that it's possible there are some puzzles to be found. Actually, I was wondering... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17... I missed 18. No puzzle for me? Evening, gents. Isn't Espella with you? Do you know Espella? Do I know her? There isn't a person in this town who doesn't know Espella. I didn't realize she was so famous. I've known some ignorant people, but you two really do take the biscuit. If you knew her better, then I doubt you'd be spending so much time with her. What's that supposed to mean? Espella is a lovely person. I don't know how you can say that. Personally, I don't enjoy talking about her in that way either. Okay. That's saying everything and nothing at the same time. Oh, this Bardley Bard named Bardley, but must tell you without fail as it is his duty to relate to you this tale. In the darkness of night, when the sun has gone down, the shadow of the witch shall appear, and the unfortunate couple walking in the darkness will come unerringly to the witch. And bathed in the witch's fire, their lives will be consumed by her flames. Oh, the story that you hear today is terrible to have I have to say. Okay? I also must be careful about what they say about hidden puzzles, because there may be new puzzles becoming available in previously visited areas that are just hidden in the scenery. Oh, this lady on the left, I bet she has a puzzle. No? Yes. Cinderella, Francesca, Anna, Lillian, my dear friends, I am ever so sad. Soon the four of us will be forced to part ways. Okay, her hair fell down. This is the pawnbroker's shop, isn't it? What seems to be the matter? What's up with her hair? Oh my, is that concern in your voice? Oh, gentle sir, if you have but a moment, allow me to explain my ever so woesome woe. The family coffers are not brimming with coin as they once were, I'm afraid. So I've come to sell my ever so dearest friends. Sell your friends? Indeed, and lifelong friends at that. Oh, indeed, gentle sir, however my friends are ever so picky about where they stay. Pray, would you be able to put them into their proper rooms? Which puzzle is that? 22. Oh, we've skipped ahead quite a bit, I think. Dollhouse drama. A set of very stubborn dolls have requested help in assigning each of them a room. Touch ask to find out each of the dolls' criteria for their perfect room, and then place them into rooms based on what they say. Remember that each doll speaks for its entire color set. Uh-huh. I really want a room on the top floor. No way am I staying in the room next to A, says B. It'd be nice if B had rooms below mine. I really want a room on the top floor, says A. How do I ask? I don't even know. B? Ah, no, okay, you cycled through them. A says, I really want a room on the top floor. I want rooms on the same row across or up. Says B. No way am I staying in the room next to A, says C. It'd be nice if B had rooms below mine, says D. So it must be across then, because if they were the same in the same row up the 4B, that means that there could be no one above B. Rooms below mine, says D. Okay. So that means that B, all of the B's are, Ah, you swap them around like that, okay. So actually, the amount of possible solutions is relatively reduced. But there's no way to put all of the B's in the same horizontal... on the same row across or up. I don't even know how that's possible. I don't understand that hint. That instruction, shall we say. C doesn't want to be in a room next to A. Is that the case at the moment? Well, it is the case. Okay, so that can't be. So A and C must never be right next to another. Does that include above or below? When she says next. Let's see if one of those colors doesn't touch any of the other colors. Or if there's one color that is never touched by one of the other three. Red, for example, is adjacent to orange, green, and blue, so I guess that doesn't fit the description. Orange is always next to... Is it? Does it touch blue somewhere? Orange. Yeah, it does. Green always touches, yeah, orange, blue, or red. And blue always touches, yeah, it does touch either green, red, or orange as well. So maybe when C says next to, that doesn't include above or below. It really means on the same row across, I think. If I put C and A in red and blue, that would fulfill the condition. C is never next to A that way. Now, I think maybe B goes in blue, actually, come to think of it. I want rooms on the same row across or up. By putting B in the blue rooms, that means it will always be in rooms that are the same row across or up. It seems to be the only color to be like that. But then I have to find another way to fit A and C. Right now, A and C still coexist right next to one another, so that can't be. How about like this? A and C still exist right next to one another. Like that, that's still the case. But B said across or up, though. So I guess B could fit in green as well, because there are two that are the same row across. Yeah. But I guess B is also on the same row across that way too, just not adjacent to one another. Let's see. Let's start with A. I really want a room on the top floor, that's the case. B. I want rooms on the same row across or up. I think that's fulfilled. No way am I staying in the room next to A. Says C. At the moment, that is not the case. It'd be nice if B had rooms below mine, says D. Rooms in the plural. There are at least two. I don't know, let's submit.
See what you think of this.
Okay, well that seems to be it.
Professor, I did it!
The descriptions can be interpreted more than one way, I find. Happy residents make for a happy home. So the difficulty for me is interpreting what they say, and what that means. Now I get it, the friends you were referring to are your dolls. Oh, thank you, gentle sirs. With my friends all in their place, I'm sure to get ever such a fair price. And I'm sure they will be ever so happy in their new homes. Wait, did we do that for your friends or for the price? Tell me, Mr. Pawnbroker, will you take ever such good care of my friends now? Madam, I realize you have brought your friends a long way to visit me, but I'm afraid a doll's house like this is a little out of my line. Okay, you win. What's up with the hair, though? I'll take them off your hands. Wonderful. Thank you ever so much, Mr. Pawnbroker. She might be laughing, but I could certainly sense tension in that transaction. A haughty laugh of authority, perhaps. Doesn't seem to be any puzzles here. Have I tried here yet? Can't remember. Yeah, I did. There's no one to talk to. No one to talk to here either. You can't enter. Well, no, it's closed for the night. Okay. Well, that probably means that there are some puzzles that I can't do anymore. I missed them, but I guess they will be available again after a bit. This dude I already talked to? Yeah, 18, 20, and 21. I missed 3. Aha! Welcome back. I've prepared the evening meal already. Wow, it looks great. Hang on, where's Isabella? I'm afraid we were separated when she went to get that milk. Has she not come back yet? Oh dear, maybe I was asking too much of her. My apologies, I should have stopped her, had I had the chance. Something you need to worry about, Mr. Layton. That girl knows her way around. I'm sure she'll be back soon. Let's go ahead and eat while waiting for her. I love it when we all get to eat together. Meals are much more enjoyable that way. I've never had bread and jam that tasted this good before. I hope Espella gets back soon. Oh yeah, you guys went out to the Great Archive with her, didn't you? Did you find what you were looking for? Well, it's a bit of a mystery, really. What do you mean? In truth, we went there to investigate the mystery that is Labyrinthia. However, what we found instead was quite the puzzle. Oh, right, a puzzle, huh? You know, I get the impression puzzles are pretty popular in this town. Do you not know what a puzzle is, Nick? Not that I know exactly. Well, we spend all our time baking. It's not really the kind of thing we are supposed to know about, I guess. Indeed, it appears the two of you are a little unsure about the concept of puzzles. Say, Mr. Layton, do you think you could give us a little Puzzles 101 crash course? I'm kinda curious. It would be my pleasure, Miss Faye, but rather than explaining it in words, I believe actually trying your hand at a puzzle would be far more rewarding. Here, I'll give you both a simple example to think about. Now then, here we have 2 long loaves of bread placed side by side. You'll notice that they form the number 11. Do you see what I mean? Oh yeah, I get it. So that's what a puzzle is. Not quite, Miss Faye. The puzzle is what follows next. What I'd like you to try is, I'd like you to see if you can change this into a number lower than 11. A lower number? So how about if I take one of the loaves? However, the one condition is that you must add another loaf of exactly the same type. You need to add another loaf? Even though we had a loaf, the number has to be lower. I think I'm beginning to see what you mean by puzzle. Wait, I think I've got it. I may just be a baker, but I bet I have the right answer. If I place the extra loaf sideways like this, then 1 minus 1 equals 0. Give me a break, Nick. That's totally the letter H. We're trying to solve a puzzle here, not win a spelling bee. Oh, come on. I can't be the only one that sees 1 minus 1, right? Right? Well, I thought of H before thinking 1 minus 1. Turning it into a matter of arithmetic is certainly an interesting approach. You, think so? Most certainly. That's precisely the kind of flexible thinking needed for solving puzzles. Now, let's think again. Take a seat and leave this to a pro, Nick. How about this? You just take this new loaf and ta-da! Now that's 1 minus 1. Hey! Eating is cheating! Really? Because it feels more like winning to me. You're full of surprises, Miss Faye. I didn't expect that kind of innovation. You're too kind, Layton. That's your problem. I solved the puzzle and enjoyed the bread. Win-win, baby. But didn't Mr. Layton tell us at the start that we need to add another loaf of the exact same type? Huh? Seriously? That's right. Unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't accept this as a solution to the puzzle. Well, alright, but is there really another better solution? Well, what do you think? Can either of you think of a better solution? I'm drawing a blank. I guess this kind of thing just isn't for me. You both came up with such creative answers. I'm sure you'll be solving puzzles in no time. But now it's time for the solution. The important thing in this puzzle solution is the angle of the loaf that is added. If the new loaf is placed upright like so, 1.1. Oh, I get it. It's the number 1.1, right? Hey, that's right. That's a lot lower than 11. Exactly. When solving puzzles, there is never just one correct method. It's essential to think flexibly and try many means to solve it. Sometimes critical thinking is the key to success. Right, I see what you mean. These puzzles are really something else. Well, if I see another puzzle like this, I'd still rather eat my way to the solution. You know, I don't think I'm cut out for brain-busting bread puzzles like this. I'll stick with good old regular bread, thanks. That's because we're ace bakers. I guess we're better suited to using our hands than our heads. Is that so? In truth, I can't help but feel you're both a little out of place as bakers, if you'll pardon my saying so. Naturally, I won't force puzzles upon you, but if either of you should be interested, I would heartily recommend giving puzzle solving a try. Professor, right now there's something else we all need to try. Mrs. Eclair's freshly baked bread is getting cold, and I'm sure it tastes better hot. Oh dear, so it is. You know how I can get when it comes to puzzles. Well, young man, I must say it's a pleasure to have someone show such appreciation for my baking. When it comes to your bread, Mrs. Eclair, there's no limit to how much I could eat. Luke! What? You shouldn't have said that. What? My, aren't you a darling? Well then, in that case, I suppose I'll just have to bring out my special reserve. Hold on a moment, I'll just go and fetch it. Uh-oh. Right, I think it's time I started preparing tomorrow's bread. Ah, yes, me too. I'm sure it must be that time already. What have you done? Professor, what was that all about? I'm not entirely sure, but I do seem struck by a sudden sense of impending doom. Sorry to have kept you waiting. There you go, have at it, but be warned. I won't take kindly to any leftovers. Oh, this loaf. Wait, where did those two go? Miss Maya? Mr. Wright? Luke, it would appear that we have been left to tackle this particular task alone. Phew, I'm stuffed. I believe this must be the most bread I have ever eaten in my life. Wait a sec. I've just realized we've finished eating, but Espilla still isn't back yet. She went to the market, didn't she? Perhaps we... Oh my, customers at this late hour? I'm sorry, but we're closed. What? That's him! That man over there! So he's the one, is he? Just a minute, what do you think you're doing barging in here like this? Stand aside, madam, this is a matter of urgency. What are you going to do? You there, Porcupine Head, you're coming with us. Huh? Porcupine Head? You don't mean me, do you? Who else in this room fits that description? Certainly you would appear to be alone on that particular front. I wish I had a top hat too right about now. Enough of your idle chit-chat. Time to get going. Huh? What do you mean? Well, it should be quite obvious. You're coming to the court, of course. The court? Wow, Mr. Wright, what did you do? Yeah, Nick, what did you do? I didn't do anything! The only thing you could accuse me of is making bread that's too good to eat. This man is not the one who's on trial. In that case, why is Mr. Wright being made to go to the court? That's simple, because the girl has requested him, of course. Girl? What girl? Naturally, the girl facing trial for this evening's crime. That heinous witch. Miss Espilla Cantabella, no less. Uh-oh. To be continued. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Yeah, I knew that I had missed a few. But there's one that didn't go there, I think. Or did I only miss... Well, I counted... No, 20? I think I had it. Or 22? I can't remember now. But anyway. Yes, I want to save. Bum, 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 bum.
We don't want no fuss and we don't want to hurt you, all right?
Yeah, we just want your money, that's all.
And you'll give it to us, won't you, without any fuss?
Ichnaze!
Ah, she's a witch. The two companions. That's why she's getting accused. The Fire Witch. Chapter 2. What is this place? The room is lit, but it's still somehow dark, and the atmosphere feels heavy. Nick, what are we doing in a place like this? How should I know? We're just a couple of bakers, but I don't think they brought us here to make bread. Yikes, is it me or is that guard staring daggers at us right now? Mr. Wright, Maya! Espella, what exactly is going on? I'm sorry, I was the one who sent for you both. You sent for us? I'm being put on trial. Wait, what happened? I don't know, I just don't understand what's going on. I didn't do anything wrong, I couldn't possibly murder anyone. Murder? I beg you, Mr. Wright, please, I need your help, just one more time. Huh? You need my help? What could I possibly do? Espella, I'm just a baker, and the only thing I know about law is how not to get on the wrong side of it. Wait, hold on a sec, Espella. What did you just say? You said you needed Nick's help just one more time? One more time? I'm not quite sure myself, but when the knights came and took me, a vision suddenly appeared in my mind. It was Mr. Wright. Ooh, low res, all of a sudden. He was fighting for me, defending me, that brave blue figure. It was all clear as day. It was fighting for you. No, wait, that's impossible. I mean, it's like I already said, I'm just a baker. I have a hard enough time rolling dough, let alone defending someone in court. I thought the same thing too at first, but I don't think that's quite true. You and Maya, at some time, somewhere. You helped me. You fought for me as a defender. A defender? What's wrong, Nick? I wish I knew Maya, but hearing Espella mention an defender, I can't help but feel something inside of me just burning at the mention of it. Accused! Defender! It is time. Head forth, you two. Head forth? Where are we going exactly? To the courtroom in which today's trial will be taking place, the Chamber of Fire. Chamber? Of Fire? Make haste if you are but a moment late, a guilty verdict will be delivered immediately. What? No way! Mr. Wright, I'm truly sorry, Mr. Wright. I know this is all so sudden. It's a lost cause, isn't it? Well then, let's head inside, Espella. Huh? This overwhelming pressure, it feels so familiar somehow, almost like déjà vu. Mr. Wright! Let's go, Maya. Maybe we'll get a better idea once the trial gets underway. Alright, let's do it, Nick. Let's do it to it, Nick. Let's do it to it. Okay.
What is this heat? It's like an oven in here.
I will now pronounce the verdict. This court finds the accused guilty of being a witch.
I don't even get to defend her.
I'm not a witch! Please, I beg you to reconsider! I'm not...
Uh-oh.
Witches are to be cast straight into the hellfire!
So, this is the witch's court.
But... We witnessed an execution in a Phoenix Wright game, okay? Or even a Layton game for that matter, that was quite violent. So how are you feeling, Nick? Not very good at the moment. I'd forgotten what this felt like up until now. Huh? The butterflies in my stomach and tension so thick you could slice it with a knife. All of these feelings. These are all feelings that I'm definitely familiar with. Anyway, we are here to fight for Espella and get her out of this place. That's right.
The court is now in session for the trial of Espella Cantabella.
This feels like a good place to stop for tonight. So that tomorrow we can start afresh, right at the beginning of a trial. And not have to sort of remember what happened the day before, if you get my meaning. It will be easier for me to pick up right there if I stop now. Instead of getting started and then not remembering what I saw in previous cross-examinations and things like that. So thank you for watching, people. I'll be leaving you to it now. I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning tomorrow, so I should probably already go to sleep. Take care of yourselves. Take it easy. I was happy to have you. Hopefully I get to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow I should start the stream just a little bit later than tonight. But there will definitely be one tomorrow at night. So see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.